Hey folks, just a quick note before the recording starts. We had to use some backup software to get this interview, and that meant that our ability to edit some of the things we usually take care of was limited. So you'll notice some sound quality changes. Apologies for that, but I think we've got a good episode here, a good talk, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks. Welcome to What the Heck's, your source for Warhammer Underworlds and under 30 events that I sure would have loved to have gone to, but couldn't this year. I'm your co-host, Davy, the one who will never again just hang out next to a waystone marker. And with me, I have a couple of guests with me as Jonas. How are you, Jonas?
I'm good. I'm good, thanks.
Glad to hear it. And Thomas, how are you?
Good evening to you.
Yeah. We're having you fellows on because of the good recommendation from a fellow that's actually been on here to talk Wormspat, and I'm sure with that you both know exactly what I'm talking about, to be honest, who really appreciated what you both did for the event, and so we're going to talk about the Copenhagen Clash there, the Copenhagen Grand Clash, and talk about what you did to set up, run, all this sort of thing there. But before we get to that, we're going to hit some of our usual things. For your context, it is the 13th of April. We are still waiting on the Wind Elves. I'm going to forget. I should have been more prepared, but what their name is. You guys must have seen the... Yeah, it's elf names. I'm not going to remember. That's Skylar's job to know how to say those. So what did you guys see the release? What did you guys think of the first eyes on that?
I'm very excited. My first army was High Elves, so I hope they have some good rules, interesting rules.
Yeah. How about you, Jonas? Yeah. I agree with both those. I'm someone who doesn't love the elf aesthetic often, but I really like these. I like how dynamic a lot of them were. And then just from the rules perspective, I know they mentioned how they... it looks like a fox. I'm sure it has some crazy name, but is a counter rather than, or a token rather than an actual model that'll kind of determine things. So that right there already screams interesting mechanic to me, or at least very different.
And it looked a bit like a shooty warband, which is always interesting to see if they can actually have some power being restricted. I would assume to only one damage, but it's going to be interesting. I hope that will be something new.
Yeah, I hope so too. We are going to hop on to community shoutouts here, and I've got a couple to get out of the way. We talked about Val's community FAQ the last time we were there, the rest of the crew. We didn't quite get the link set up in time to be able to include it. So in the show notes this time around, we will have a link to that community FAQ that Val's worked so hard on. You'll be able to click and follow it there. And I think I'm going to look to get it pinned to our local Discord so people can find it easily if they want there. And we'll go from there. And then the other, and maybe you guys were going to mention this, but for folks who want to know a little bit more about some of the games, I did find that some of the games were actually recorded to YouTube, and they're visible there. You guys, we'll put a link into that. You guys know how many of those were recorded? Is it the finals or is this
from our
news to you?
tournament? Or from Worlds? From our tournament, we didn't do any live streaming. We tried the year before, miserably failed technically, and this year we skipped it altogether. But I know from the Benelux Clash, there's been quite a few matches on YouTube.
And that's me with egg on my face because that was the one I saw in passing with Benelux. So, so if people want to look at a different European event from not too terribly far away, at least by U.S. standards, and there's some games from the Benelux, but not from yours. So, how about you, fellas? Do you have anything you'd like to shout out?
Well, I've got two tournaments I want to mention. One of them is the WTC Team Tournament Championship, end of August. Every country comes with a 5-man team. Some countries have, I think the Polish has 3 or 4 teams because they're mad about
Story checks out.
But it's a really cool event. Being with your mates first of all, and you can have that internal banter of who did really well, who did not so well. last year when the Danish team, when Thomas won all his games, we've heard no end about that for a whole year. But no, it is a really cool event. You've got to play another national team. You get that camaraderie thing much more intense than, for instance, in Worlds, where you also compete for your country. But this is much more hands-on in a way. Mm-hmm. So if you are listening out there and you're thinking, oh, we don't have a team, we might want to go. Go on Discord, get hold of Hunter, who is the organizer. It's in Czech Republic last weekend in August, and we'll meet you there.
I have not been myself. I have a soft spot for team events, and I've spoken to multiple people who came back and said it was one of the best ways they've ever played Underworlds. I think Mark from over on Path to Glory, and I think Gerard spoke very highly of it. Really, really enjoyed it. So, as big a recommendation as I can make without having gone myself, I would echo that. Thomas, what about you?
Yeah, just today we reached 12 teams. So I see that Poland has 3 teams and Czech Republic has 3 teams too. And then we have Denmark and Austria, 2 teams from Spain, a French team, and an Italian team. So
yeah, very nice. Yeah. Those scary Italians.
Yeah, we're missing the Canadians and the Americans.
Yeah. Sometimes
also the British.
Sure.
British,
yeah. I mean, I guess if you have, and this is a thing where it would be one thing like, hey, it's a clash, a single, but those are fun. But this is a kind of event that you can't just turn around and say, oh, I've got one right here around the corner, so a big little extra worth it for traveling. Anything else anyone would like to shout out?
I have one. The guy who did all our trophies and coins, who sculpted them and 3D printed them and painted them, Sonny, was a huge help for us for the prizes for the tournament. He has a website that's called Imitation of Life, IOLminis.com. I can give you the link in the show notes. He does all kinds of miniature sculpting.
Great. Yeah, if you said
Necromunda and Warhammer, and also 15 millimeter scale and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent.
So a huge shout out to him. He did it for free. So
I think it's very easy to kind of overlook some of those support folks that will make these events. They either make it possible or take it from, hey, this is just going okay, to this is going great. There's people who give up their time and energy and money to just make an enjoyable experience for others. So I'm glad we could shout that out. If you send me the link, I'll make sure it's in the show notes and get that. So anything else, fellas, before we move along?
I was just going to do a quick shout out to the Warhammer World Grand Clash that was held about a month ago, month and a half. Mm-hmm. They bumped it up to a 3-day event, so we had sort of warm up on Friday, the real clash on the Saturday with the tickets on the line, and then a Funsies Rivals tournament on the Sunday, where you could also bring legacy warbands, which was just great fun. I brought Iron Skull boys just
love them
for the heck of it. And it was Nick Baton and his crew of helpers that put it on, and we had a pub quiz on the Saturday. It was just a really well-run event, and sometimes you take for granted that when Workshop puts on a thing, it's, they just do it for the money. But Nick really feels for this game, and it shows.
I believe you. I got a chance to talk to him in Atlanta last year, and he was... you could just feel exactly that. Somebody who's really a champion for the game really is there because he loves it. And just talking to him, he was excited and interested about any kind of circumstances that came up. Even if you're just talking about, here's the warband I took, and the parent is like, I can't. That's so interesting. Like I'm surprised that we don't see more of that. And I helped to demonstrate why there wasn't more of it, but. Yeah,
he participated in the Copenhagen Grand Clash the year before. He didn't come this year, but
I see.
So he's out there playing.
He's out there somewhere. Well, we're going to talk about that this year's Copenhagen Clash. And but before we do that, we've got the two of you on, and for folks who may not already know you, we'll have you talk a little bit about your background with Underworlds, and maybe just tell how you got started and what keeps you playing, and maybe your favorite warband. And Thomas, if you're all right, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I got into the hobby 30 years ago when I was 10. My brother showed it to me with his older friends. And then I've been playing ever since, both Warhammer Fantasy and 40k, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, all that kind of stuff. And then I entered Underworlds last of the version 1, season 1, in our local Games Workshop store here in Copenhagen, and got my ass beaten. I thought I just took what's it called, the original Sigma rights, and just put a deck together, and found out that you couldn't do that. But it seemed to be very good, because I began having small children back then, and then I didn't have as many hours as I had before. So just having a tournament one evening is great for me, and also having the small hobby projects with each warband that you don't have to paint 50 or 100 models to have an army.
I don't know how I could ever go back and paint a whole army anymore. I used to do that. It feels impossible anymore. The warbands are doable. So it was Steelheart Champions was the warband? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. What did you have them painted as a traditional
No, I converted them. So they are skeletons with rusty armor from an idea I took from an old friend of mine who did a whole Age of Sigmar army, that style. So skeleton heads and then glowing skulls and that kind.
Wow. All right. So yeah, a great example of a project that is fun to try out. I try something out, and if it doesn't work, oh well, it was just one warband. If it works out, then you got this nice little display. So,
exactly.
What's a favorite warband these days?
I really love playing with Bright Queen at the moment. I like the mechanics and that with the teleports, and that they're all like pawns that if one dies, even the queen, it's fine. It's so you can do some pawns, and it's fine. And they're very flexible warband.
Yeah. Are you enjoying a Deadly Synergy Blazing Assault sort of pairing there, or
not yet? I've been playing only with Deadly Synergies, and then Edge of the Knife, and Cataclysm, and Nexus of Power. So trying to different kind of stuffs with Deadly Synergies.
Yeah. I think it's nice we're at a stage with the decks where there's actually a fair amount of things you can try, even if you just stay with the one warband. You can explore for quite a while there.
Okay.
Jonas, how about you? Why don't you tell us a little bit of how you got in the hobby, and what appeals about Underworlds, and what your favorite warband is these days?
So I've been in the hobby for a lifetime. Like Thomas, I've painted lots of Warhammer armies, 40k armies. I must have painted over 50 armies, played for such a long time. But Underworlds, I got into Underworlds with, I don't know the season, but with the starter set with the Drapers, Wraith Creepers, and the Shooty Boys. I forgot the name.
That was one of the standalone starters on the side, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Painted them up, took a bit of a while, and then eventually started to play the game. Really loved the simplicity of the army project, as Thomas described. The best thing about painting for me is when I'm done. And here's you get a new army as such, but it's only 5 models. You do your planning, you whole scheming, and then you're finished. Way and on to the next project. Yeah. So I made it my quest to have every single war paint bought and painted up, which I did last year. So that's been my sort of journey into Underworlds. And then I enjoy the way that you can play more games at a tournament against different opponents. If you go to Warhammer, you have like 3 games a day against obviously 3 opponents. But in Underworld, you could do way more than that. And I enjoy it.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good point. What's the favorite warband right now?
So favorite warbands of all times must still be Draper's Wraith Creepers, because I got that sort of first love thing with them. These days, I'm fooling around with all sorts, but ending up with aggro. But right now, Sabak Gets with an aggro combo is good fun. So I'm trying to get better at that. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so much.
It's funny with them being a legacy warband now. I haven't thought too much about Draper's Wraith Creepers, but you just mentioning them now really kind of brings me back to some trauma in the past where an incredibly accurate Draper was just one-shotting one after the other.
He was stupidly accurate.
He was so good. Yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, we are talking to you today about the Copenhagen Grand Clash, and Honest saying, really thought you had a story to tell about putting it on. You had 30 some, 32, 33.
I think it was 36 to be honest, but 36. There was a few drops.
34 on Saturday, and then 3 dropped for Saturday, Sunday. So
and that makes it just about one of the largest Underworlds events outside of GW, GW's homeland there in the UK. Certainly, we haven't seen an event that size in the US for quite some time. So something's going right, something's going well, and we kind of want to talk to you about some of the idea of how you put it on. So let's start with how many years has it been running, and have you two been kind of combining forces on it that whole time, or is that has the mantle of leadership changed?
This was our 3rd year running, and Thomas and I have been partners in crime for all 3 years. We simply felt that it was a pity that there wasn't a Copenhagen tournament. There had been one, Thomas told me, previous years before COVID, and there was a tournament scene, but we thought we'd give it a crack. So first year, Thomas, can you remember how many we got? I think we got
25-ish. Yeah, 20 odd. On a single day.
We tried to, back then we made it a 1-day event. We had sort of a Friday warm-up, hangout at the club if you wanted to come. But it was a 1-day event, and we wanted to have slightly different sort of take on it. So back then we did best of 2. So we did 5 matches, best of 2. In the thinking that if you did best of 3s on a 1-day event, you wouldn't have that many matches. And we were not convinced that a 2-day event was the way to go. So the best of 2 event was 5 matches, so potentially 10 games in 1 day. Pretty hardcore. But it was good fun, and we learned a lot. And shout out to Anders with his Wormspat, because he won back then. I'm sure he's told everybody. No, but it was good. Had a pretty decent venue at a local club. We co-partner with, on top of a board game cafe. So there were some good things going. That we had access to sort of that facility where people could go and buy coffee or a snack or whatever, and being in a venue where even it's fairly small, it was big enough for us, and it was only us, which makes it, I find it cozy. Compared to being in Adepticon in a huge hall with 2,000 other people playing at the same time.
I don't think anyone's ever going to accuse Adepticon of being cozy. So.
No, but but then on the other hand, it's grandiose and it's great, and you're part of something bigger, which is also something. But this anyway, this was what it turned out to be the first year.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there were lessons learned in that first year that you took moving forward, good or bad?
I think we got some good feedback. People enjoyed it. We had a fairly wide gathering of local Europeans turning up. We had a crowd from Poland who almost came over and beat everybody. Padre and his boys came along. They're Alex and I forgot the name. Jacek, his two boys, and they were at Worlds again this year.
Oh, yes, we know.
Very good players. Anyways, we had some Swedes, we had some Prague players, and it turned out pretty good. So I think we were, at least, Thomas, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we were very quickly to say, we'll do that next year, because it was fun. We had a good time. I think the players had a good time, and we felt we could build on that for next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I also feel that it's easier to do Underworlds tournaments than we've both been organizing big Warhammer events in the past, where you have like several hundred players and you need to get tables and terrain and all that kind of stuff from Friday to Sunday. So organizing an Underworlds tournament is far easier because you don't have to think about all the big tables and the terrain and stuff. So it's when you've done the big events with Warhammer, it's so much easier just to do the Underworlds events and doing it with Jonas, who's also has a lot of experience organizing. It's easy because we both know what we have to do each, and then we take each our assignments. So it's good to also have the process is good. I've done a lot of things in the past where the process has been too hard, and because you have the eyes on the goal and don't focus on also having a good process.
So it sounds like you went into this both with experience running events. Are you able to think back? Do you remember what the first event you ran was? Not obviously not Underworlds necessarily, but how far back do you have to reach before you get there?
I think I was 14 or 15 doing a local Warhammer tournament and a painting show at our local library.
Yeah. All right. Excellent.
Well, I think my event is 1992. It was one of the biggest Warhammer tournaments in Denmark with 8 players altogether. But it was, and we had spent so much time, me and my friends who ran it, making scenery, top of the line, all sorts, get sponsored prizes, and we got all in. It was great. Made a ton of mistakes. We lost a lot of money on providing food and beverages and everything, but everybody had a good time, and I think that sort of stuck with me. And, why do we run a tournament? It's to invite people in this little community into your world to make sure that they have a good time, because then you have a good time.
I think you raise a very good point there, where if you're starting out, for those folks who are just thinking of running their first event, there are going to be mistakes made. We now have a fair amount of experience locally running events, and we'll still make errors. But if folks are enjoying themselves, they're having a good time, then many errors can be overlooked or forgiven as long as the overall was fun. And don't be so afraid of making a mistake that you're not willing to give it a shot at all, because people enjoy this, and they enjoy the people who play it, and get a chance to make those two things happen together, and you've got a good combination. So, well, bringing us back to this, the first year was a success with Copenhagen, and then you had 2 more there. So anything as it grew and developed into what it became this year?
I think we set the template for the second year, and again, because of the background of organizing tournaments Thomas and I have, we felt that there was the hobby side of the Warhammer Underworlds games was not being honored as much as what we liked. Both for me and Thomas, the painting hobby is a big part of it. So for that year, we introduced the overall champion as well, where we got points for soft scores, which was for painting, painting scores. We also did the most sporting opponent votes, so that would give you tournament points. And finally, we did a quiz, a dreaded sort of flashback to primary school, 5 minutes on the spot quiz. That would earn you points for the overall. So we had effectively two tournaments running. One was the Champion of Copenhagen, which was simply the regular gameplay with a final at the end. That was for the second year, and then along that we did the overall tournament. That I think went down really well. We had some people in our local community a bit on the fence because they were not great painters. They were not into that side of the hobby. But we still kept the sort of the winner, if you like, which was just gameplay. So instead of sort of removing something, we were just adding something to the tournament setup. We were also lucky enough to be granted 2 golden tickets, so we could have 1 ticket for each.
Excellent. How did you, that sounds like painting is important to both of you. Did you sort of shoulder the painting judge responsibilities between the two of you, or was that something that you handed out? I know locally we'll do, if we need an independent judge, Brian is kind of our technically best painter. And so he's often able to identify things that I say, oh, that looks great. And he said, but it's not just great. It's a very accomplished to be able to use this technique or something like that. Was that something you had to kind of discuss how you're going to break that down, or how'd that go?
We during some of the rounds, we went around and did the painting tours where people played. And then that was for the soft score points. And then we also had a vote for most awesome warband. We also, not only painting, but also conversions and doing something awesome. So we did some cool conversions. It could also count as much as having good painting techniques. We feel that having some interesting models on the table is important. And then we had a vote from the players for voting for most awesome warband, where we also had some judges' votes. We have 5 votes each, and each player had 2 votes each, but they had to vote on 2 different warbands.
I see. So that's an interesting. Was that a system you came up with yourselves, or was that something you've encountered elsewhere? I kind of like the idea of blending the judges and community input like that.
I think we've encountered it when me and Thomas went to the Warhammer World event past year. They at least had introduced the 2 votes that you could vote on 2 different warbands, which I actually quite liked, because sometimes there's 30 players. There's a handful that you want to vote on because they're really good, but you can only vote on 1. This you could vote on 2, and we. And at the Warhammer World event, there was a jury prize and a sort of participant prize. Since we had not that large of a crowd, we did 1 prize, which was then combined by us as the jury, me and Thomas, having a bit more votes than them. But still, it was a community prize. And it's quite deliberate. We don't call it best painted warband, but most awesome warband, because that is what an army, a Warhammer Underworld warband is. It's about the coolest one, not necessarily the technically best painted or whatever. people will look at it, and if one warband gets twice as many votes as the next best, it is probably the most awesome warband out there.
That's fair.
And then we would focus a little bit more on the technical aspect in the soft score points.
Mm-hmm.
And Thomas, we did like that. We both scored, and in case of a doubt, Thomas was the official best painter and TO at the same time. So your say was overruling mine. But we were fairly evens on
in sync.
In sync.
Yeah. It's you're correct. It's something that we haven't always seen as much. But if you look at Worlds, they are doing those. They did give a best overall each year, even in the Underworlds, and best painted and all that sort of thing. It was a good reminder. When Emmett and I went to Nova last year, they did a best sports, and that was just kind of a fun way to highlight the different things, the different aspects of the whole of the hobby. But some of the reasons that we play it, is a reason I'm not playing a game that is just paper tokens. I'm playing that have cool models. So
we made a great effort of telling people what the scoring system would be for the painting. So you could correct me if I'm wrong. I think you could get from 1 to 5 points, tournament points, or at least this year. 1 to 5 points. 5 being, wow, this is great. 1 point being, well, we told you it had to be painted. This is hardly painted at all. And then in between.
Yeah.
Because what I found at Worlds was, because painting is a big part of my participation at Worlds, is you didn't know what was going on. It was sort of kept in the dark. So we did that for all our soft scores. So the quiz was, again, there's 12 questions. If you get so many correct, you would get so many tournament points. And eventually the best opponent votes was fairly simple. If you got 1 vote, you would get 1 point. If you get 3 votes, you would get 3 points. But we laid that out from the beginning in the tournament pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that really kind of makes all the difference. I can think of a couple of cases where people were not agreeing with how the scoring was, or they thought I hit this checkbox and not that. For myself, I was far enough down the ladder. I wasn't too worried. I was just happy with any points I got. So, but it was
But it's just informing people in advance. This past Worlds I had great fun. I had spent 100 hours on making a display for my Skittershank claw pack. And then they had ruled that displays were not part of the evaluation of this. So what? I had a good time, and I'm not losing sleep of that. But it would have been even better had they told us in advance.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. And so this is a program you used in the second and third years. It sounds like, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Did it grow each year? So you said around 25 the first, and then I think you said 34 came in registered on the third. Were you somewhere in between that on the second year?
I think we were a bit more, actually. I think we were 38 this year. The Czech division did not go to the Copenhagen event. They are going to the Maastricht Warhammer Open. All of a sudden, we have Warhammer Opens in Europe. We haven't had those. Mm-hmm. So there's just more tournaments in Europe this year, which is great. So there's more choice.
Yeah. But
34, we're not unhappy with the attendances this year.
I'd be delighted if we got ourselves an event up to 34. Yeah. That's
that weekend there was a lot of tournaments and also just around it, and also I think all the Spanish guys went to Nottingham, and so we had a lot of competition for March, but we're still very satisfied.
Yeah, in the bigger picture, like you said, is a good problem to have, is that there's lots of choices, and if speaking from a very American point of view, we often will say that like competition will drive each of the events to distinguish themselves, make themselves better, or sometimes competition will sharpen each of the different things too. So
I think that's a good point, because I've actually traveled to America for a few of the events I've been to, LVO and Adepticon and so on, and the tournament setup was fairly similar. It was a day one, and then a top cup, and then the top 16 or top 8 or however many it was. I remember you and me, Davy, playing at day 2 at Adepticon, and there was little incentive to A, turn up, and B, to sort of do your best, if you like.
Yeah.
The competitiveness was gone. And we tried to do something about that for this year's event. So for this year, we had turned the event into a 2-day event. And we had quite a few foreigners flying in, and to make it a bit more worthwhile spending money on a plane ticket and hotels, you get a bit more out of your investment, if you like, if it's a 2-day event. So we ran the first day six games, best of 1, and that determined the top cup for the 16. And the 16 would then do an elimination bracket, and eventually we would find the champion of Copenhagen out of the games played. But since we were running the overall competition on the side, where people were sort of just, if you were eliminated from your on your way to being the champion, you would still go in that pool where you would have a chance for the other ticket for the overall best overall, which meant that you always had something to fight for, and even the winner did not win all 10 games. So there was definitely scope to stay focused and do your best.
I like that. That's a good thought. And it's not that I don't enjoy those sort of day 2 where the pressure may be a little off, but it's fun to have a little more stakes involved there. So I think this, specifically the match that you referenced, I think we got it to 1 win each, or maybe it was just, I don't remember. I remember we got to the end of a game. We're like, I think that's good enough.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I know you won, but I can't remember if we just played the one game. I think we did, actually.
Yeah. Actually, that might not be the first time, because was it LVO you and I were going to play a 3rd or 4th place game? And
that's true.
Yeah. And we were both too fried for that as well.
Yeah, because now at least we were 3rd.
Yeah.
And not 4th.
It might just mean that you and I are getting old, Jonas. So
yes, but I think I was bummed by that.
I was a little bit different. I was bummed, but at least my teammate had beat me, and Jazz is such a lovely person.
No, I'm sorry, bummed is probably the wrong word. I mean, I was exhausted having lost the semifinals to Derek.
Yeah.
And I really, so intense gaming. I was happy that we were not playing for bronze medal, because I was done for by then. That was my very first tournament ever.
Oh, that's right.
On the Worlds.
Yeah. Wow. What a performance for the first one out. So, for this year, you found, sounds like you're a couple of experienced event organizers. You've refined it. You've found the things that work. Do you have any ideas about lessons that you might take? Anything you might want to change going forward, or is it seems like it's clicking along pretty well. So is it not changing what isn't broken, or what is your thought for the next year?
Well, I don't think that we haven't discussed it yet. We were pretty happy with how it went this year. I think the format with the best of ones is still something we like. It might not be. It's still the best of 3 would be ideal, but when you only have a 2-day event, we would like to have people meet more different opponents, and also not having to sit by if you win the first 2 matches, for example, then you have time. So I think the format worked good for what wanted this year. We also had 70-minute rounds,
That was my next question. How did you land on the 70? That's fairly generous. Did you find it was an appropriate amount of time, or run up the challenges?
Yeah, we did, because we both feel that the second edition takes a bit more time. And when it's a best of one game, it also takes some time just to sit down, say hello to your opponent, find all the stuff, miniatures, and pack out all the stuff you have. And a fair amount of people used all of the time. So we didn't feel that people had too much time. And then you have more time to make to have a good time. I'm a slow player, so that also make me a bit biased.
Yeah. And I find that with even just in our own household, Emmett plays a little slower, but it's because he really, some of it is that he just really enjoys it when something exciting happens, or he likes being able to talk about it, and so it's nice to give players the chance to laugh or bond over a good moment or some such, or recover after a bad one, rather than feel the pressure to just constantly grind forward. Another question about this best of one format, from your perspective from the outside, did you notice any difference in how decks were constructed? Were there any surprise, like that might not have showed up in a best of three, but here with the best of ones we're seeing this a little bit more, or not? Or was it fairly synonymous?
I think there was some talk. I don't know what the conclusion actually ended with, but there was some discussions about, this might sound a bit tricky, but the strength of Realmstone Raiders all of a sudden, because a lot of people are not familiar with that. And you bring it in a best of one, and there's a good chance your opponent would say, "Oh, I forgot what that does," and are unprepared for that encounter. That could give you a little edge. Whereas obviously, if you had a best of three, then that would be less so in game 2 and 3. But whether some of that was talking in the local Danish community, whether somebody actually had that experience, I don't know if that was the conclusion. There's also, I think, maybe the biggest thing could be if you're playing, say, Pillage and Plunder and Emberstone, or Pillage and Plunder, or whatever. But do you bring Strip the Realm?
Right.
Strip the Realm is tricky. You could get away with not bringing it in a game of one, because your opponent would be forced to play like you had it. And maybe that could give you a little advantage if that was your game style. Whereas in a best of three, then you would be called out. Say, "Oh, you don't have it." And then
so you can gain many of the benefits of having Strip the Realm in the deck without actually having it in the deck.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. I was trying to think of what else. It's not Edge of the Knife is not prevalent enough, but I guess Trial of the Tempered, might roughly fit that. Strip of the Realm was the one that jumped most readily to mind, for sure.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, Trial of the Tempered requires less counterplay, and I would bring it every time if I was playing Edge of the Knife, because
you like that. What are you doing otherwise? What we're at a stage now where the second edition is fairly developed. What else would you say as an observation, one of these larger events or some such, that was there anything that surprised you or that like seeing as far as what the field looked like, what the deck breakdowns or warband breakdowns were brought there?
Oh, it was very diverse. I mean, very much. We had Michael from Austria bringing the new
Nanotex Tithe.
Yeah. He's piloting them really well. Made it to the final in the gameplay, but lost that match. He's obviously a super skilled player, no doubt about it.
Yeah, somebody asked me. Somebody asked me. They said, "Hey, I saw they did well. What do you think the best pairing there is?" And I said, "I think the best pairing you can make with them is to be a young Austrian prodigy, and
to be young and Austrian. That's a pairing." Yeah. No, but I think we had a widespread. The year before, so in our second run, we were definitely faced with the pillage and plunder and Sarback Gits period, where both of the finalists were playing almost identical pairings and identical warbands. But this year we had a wide range of everything, including Real Slow Raiders and for a couple of players, which I thought was great.
Yeah,
someone was putting out Nexus of Power. It was all over the place.
You'd love to see that.
Yeah. And I was not left with the impression of any warband being stronger than the other ones. There's obviously some good ones. Soul Raid, just a strong warband performing really well, but they were not over dominant in any way. But they're good strong warband, and I think that goes for a lot of the warbands that we saw.
And this was, to be clear, this was under the recent balance update, correct? Like the changes. Yeah.
We just had that.
Yeah.
Early March. So.
Yeah, I think you can see a lot of effort kind of went into that. There are a lot of changes up and down there, and as these things go, it seems like it was quite effective. They addressed a lot of things.
From my perspective, there's been some nerves and buffs, but for instance, Wormspat still good. They're not stupid now, but they're good. And landed really well. As an example, I think Soul Raid is the same. It's had a little bit of an nerf, which seemed to me appropriate, at least.
And one that was perhaps decently strong and got a buff. I was going to see how long I could wait before saying it, just to torture him a little bit. But Val ended up winning it, yes, with Kamandora.
So that was again the Benelux.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
I've conflated the two.
But Danish and Dutch took the Commodores and played very good with them. And it went up. I think we had 2 Commodores.
Yeah, so Dan Knight was eliminated in the semis, but to Michael, by the way. But anyways, So I think that the conclusion is that it's anybody's game these days.
I think that's a great one to come away from that with. Well, I'd like to take a chance for you guys to throw out anything else you think was important about this, and maybe we give if someone else is looking to put on an event, what kind of the best advice you might give them. And I know that's rather broad, because we could be talking about somebody who's just trying to put on their first 10-person event, or at the library or some such, like you were talking about, Jonas, or something bigger and grander like you did. So if you were to give some recommendations to somebody who wanted to try and do something similar wherever they're at.
Well, I would say the logistics, that having beverage, that you can buy beverages nearby, that you don't have to, as an organizer, supply yourself. We had the board game cafe in the ground floor, so people could go down there, buy beer and coffee and like. Having breaks between games, so people can get a break but also socialize, get to talk with the other players. This year we learned from last year about the lunch. There's a lot of fast food places in the vicinity of the venue, but it still made people had too little time, because then 20 people went to say pizzeria, and some of the British, the staff forgot their order, and they got back and was stressed and didn't get to eat their lunch. So this year we supplied lunch. Bought some Danish open sandwiches for Saturday and some Justin bagels for Sunday, which saved people time to not go out of the house and stand in queues and like. So that's, if you can do that, it's gives people more time to have a break and socialize, instead of just standing in a food queue. Also, again with socializing, we organized dinner Saturday night at your own expense, but we went to a local burger restaurant, and I think that we were 30 people.
Yeah.
Everybody turned up.
Yeah.
Everybody.
It was optional, but everybody joined along because they had to go somewhere and eat anyways, and it was good fun. And you can sit and sob over your burger of your bad dice roll, which was 99% of all the players. But that's part of the socializing.
Yeah,
tall tales and bad dice.
I think we found a similar thing for us as we made that Madison tradition. Is at the end of the day, there's a same thing, not mandatory. Here's a nearby place we're going to meet up, and it's been great. It's been really, really enjoyable, and that's where somebody maybe I got to see in passing, but didn't get the good fortune to play. Then I get a chance to get to know them a little bit better. Some of the folks who've traveled and taken the time to come, enjoy your event in your area, and get a little more chance to know them. And I think you're kind of seeing I'd say a recurring through line through this, which is to remember that your players are all people, and let them be people, right? Not just pilots of war bands. So
yeah, exactly. And if you want to organize something, do something that you want to play in yourself, so you can inspire others to maybe do the same thing. And also, it's your free time that you take out to organize and possibly not play. I would have loved to play it, but when you do an event with more than 10, 15 people, I don't think you could also TO.
Not effectively, yeah.
No, not effectively.
Yeah.
So do something that you would like to do yourself, and that you think the scene is missing.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good one. I think it goes to a lot of things, whether it's an event like you're doing, or content or whatever you're doing. Like make the thing that you would enjoy, and that will take you a long way with the rest. So
I think my best advice for organizing a tournament: big or small, first time or late on, don't do it alone. Do it with your mates or a little group or whatever. Me and Thomas have a great partnership in doing this, and I enjoy doing it. We bounce off each other, good ideas, bad ideas, or we fine tune it, or you're just not alone when the restaurant that you booked all of a sudden cancels and you have to find another one, or whatever small things that come up. Do it together. It's double the fun. And then I think during the actual tournament, we were very clear on a little thing, but Thomas was the TO, not me. You can't have two, because rules questions can be tricky. And if they ask me, they get one answer. If they ask Thomas, they get another answer. And that's recipe for disaster. So just have your sort of roles divided like that.
That's a good one. I haven't thought about that. That's good. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time. I'll give you a chance. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, whether it's the Copenhagen events or otherwise with Underworlds? Otherwise, we'll look to start wrapping up here.
I'll just say I hope that people get at least a little bit inspired by this episode and start to host their own tournament. Start locally, do it in your little club, but make it a tournament instead of your weekly or monthly game night. It's just a lot of fun. Ask your local game store for a little prize, and all of a sudden the participation, the excitement for the players is a little bit different from what you do normally in it, and build it from there.
I think that's a great one. And even if all the people involved are the ones that are at your weekly event, it's practice. It's some muscle memory for if you get the chance to get more people in and all that, then you're not doing it for the first time when somebody is driven 6 hours to get to you.
That's true.
Any last thoughts for you, Thomas?
No, just remember to have fun. This is a hobby game. It might be. I think it's one of the better Game Workshop's competitive games, and it works competitive, but it's still a hobby. So remember to have fun when you play. and be a good opponent.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out to Val with his community FAQ. It was good help doing the TO work. So shout out to him.
All right. Yeah. And as a reminder, we'll have that link in the show notes for that too.
Yeah.
Well, that is about going to do it for us here. If you want to talk to us about this or anything else, you can email us at whatthehexcast@gmail.com. There's the Discords. We're riding around on that. Gentlemen, if they wanted to, I know you have your own local Discord. If somebody wanted to ask a question of you, we can either pass it on, or is there a good way to reach you?
Yeah, I'm on the Discord server, for the global one.
Okay.
For version 2.
All right. Well, they will come find you there if they have questions or want to follow up on that. We are obviously part of a bigger network here. You can check out anyone on the network at themortalrealms.com. Thanks to our patrons, and thanks especially on this one to Hondas for making the recommendation to make this connection. I went trying to find your handles and struggled a little bit, so he was a good middleman to make that happen. Coming up, we will have a couple options depending on what new release side. We're not exactly sure how far out those new Lumineth are. Hopefully we'll be talking about them soon. But gentlemen, I think you both know that you can't leave without one of our regular events, which is the flavor text quiz.
Been looking forward to it all week.
All right. This one, I will tell you, I've selected for its card name, and it is a quote that is attributed to Ardorn Flame Runner, and it just says, "Fancy seeing you here, brethren." And that's going to be deep cut. I'm going to give you a hint here. If you knew. Okay. It is from the most recent deck, which makes it quite a challenging selection here. It is a ploy from the most recent deck.
Oh, is it the one where you teleport?
Yes, it is.
Which places? I can't remember the name.
I'm not good with names in the first place, so...
We're going to give you half credit for that because that is the card. It is Organized Efforts, which is what you've obviously portrayed there. For your recommended listening, I found something from I'm originally from Texas, so I found a Texas songwriter, and he has a song. This is Robert Earl Keen with a song called Copenhagen. He's talking about chewing tobacco, but close enough, I guess. So, for What the Hex, I've been Davy.
I've been Jonas.
And I'm Ben Thomas.
I'm glad I could not once but twice play the role of the ignorant American and confuse Benelux with Copenhagen.
Well, you played it perfectly.
Yeah.